Hello, good morning. Can you all hear me?
Good morning. Yes, I can hear you.
Good morning, engineers. Okay. So I'm trying to hold on. So once again, good morning, everyone. So shortly we'll be starting the meeting, the training. My colleague is just joining us. Let's just give a grace period of just maybe 2 minutes so that other people will be able to join us. So I crave your indulgence to just if we are about 10 of us. We are just barely 60%. My colleague Engineer Chima is already here. So the other participants are just 5. So let us give a small grace period of another 5 minutes. Sorry, not 2 minutes. So that we'll have at least about 70% of us present. So while that is going on, we would like to use the opportunity to introduce ourselves and get to know ourselves and then get the materials. My name is Engineer Uche. I'm a certified energy auditor by the American Association of Energy Engineers. I'm also a certified energy manager, CEM. So I have both CEA and CEM. I'll be the lead trainer for today. My colleague Engineer Chima will come in maybe next week. We have 4 weekends for this training. But beyond those 4 weekends, we're going to give you a lot of materials, a lot of videos. For those who were to start this training 1 week ago, I think I shared the video of the cohort 1 with us. I believe those of us who had time to go through it must have learned 1 or 2 or would have been ahead of others. At the same time, I also shared one of our basic materials called Understanding Energy Basics. It's a PowerPoint I shared with us. The idea of that material is for those who are not core energy experts. You're on the same page, okay? The energy industry is a bit cosmopolitan. It's not just about what you studied in school. It has more to do with your passion and the baseline of being an engineer. So anybody can come into the sector. But then there are some basic things you need to know, right? There are some basic foundation you need to get so as to be at par with those who came from electrical background or mechanical background. So I've been able to share the materials. The idea is for you to read ahead of time, for you to be able to, go reflect back on what we did during our university days, so that you will not be found wanting. So I believe some of us have gone through it. So in no particular order, let's just introduce ourselves. So my colleague and my partner is here, Engineer Chima. We would like you to introduce yourself. Then we'll take it in that order. After Engineer Chima, Engineer David Ovuru. Or we take it in the according to those how we came in. So after Engineer Chima, Engineer Esther will come on board and tell us about herself. Esther has, okay, she's still there. Okay, then David will take, and then and so on and so forth. So Engineer Chima, please.
Thank you very much, Engineer Uche. Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here, and I'm happy to co-learn with every one of us here again. Like Engineer Uche rightly mentioned, my name is Engineer Chima Moneke. I am also a certified energy auditor and a certified energy manager. I have well over 10 years experience in the Nigerian electricity supply industry. I've been involved in a lot of projects, whether renewable energy or energy efficiency projects. And I'm always happy to share, to co-learn with my fellow engineers and fellow energy experts. So in the next 4 weeks, we are going to be discussing a lot about energy audits and energy efficiency for industries and commercial buildings. And I can't wait to get this started. Engineer Uche will be taking us for today. In the subsequent week, occasionally I will come in to handle some of the modules. Thank you very much for having me and for being part of this program.
Thank you, Engineer Chima. So, Engineer David, can we have you just get to know you and just your background, maybe what are your expectations in this course, and where you are logging in from? Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay. My name is Engineer David Uburu. All right. I'm from Batom Energy, the project manager of Batom Energy Limited here in Abuja. I've been in the renewable sector for like 7 years now. So I've engaged in some of the energy audits in some projects, but yeah, I've not practically learned it. I've not sat down in a class to learn energy audits. You know, that's why I saw this as a great opportunity for me, possibly to still help myself and know my lapses and get better. And of course, after the whole thing, I think get certified and be okay. So that's me. Thank you. Are we there?
Okay, yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, sir. So the next person will be Esther. I think Esther is the first person who logged in this morning. Esther, can we get to meet you, sir, please? After Esther, in no particular order again, Francis will introduce himself. All right, go ahead, please. Esther, can you unmute yourself? Okay. Francis, can we get to meet you? After Francis, we have Isa, Jira Isa.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Francis, and I'm glad to be here too. Like other co-learners have mentioned, you know, I'm already into the renewable energy, but I've not, you know, for over like say close to 5 years right now, so basically. But I've not also gone to a class basically to sit down and probably get proper, you know, learning regarding energy audit. So I'm really, really very glad to be here. I'm also a project director for Lectures Technology. Basically, they're also a renewable energy company based in Abuja here, basically. So I'm glad to be here. I want to get more knowledge and then, you know, basically improve, you know, myself and also to give better services to, you know, my clients and every other project basically that'll come my way. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Sorry, I've been a bit distracted. It's okay. Engineer Isa, are you there?
Yes, good morning.
Moses here. After Isa Moses. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Isa Ahmed. I'm a project engineer for a family-run business. It's a real estate company. It's called Wasubi Nigeria Limited. So I'm here to have a wonderful learning experience, and probably from the knowledge I gathered from here, I will use it to raise our company to the next level in the renewable energy and energy auditing business. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Engineer Moses Odiagbe. I've been in the practice of engineering practice for over 17 years. Currently, I'm running my PhD program, and I want to also explore another opportunity of learning energy auditing and energy management. Thank you.
Okay. Next is Engineer Leon Ndionyema. Just logging on. Can you introduce yourself, please? Briefly, 30 seconds. After that, Engineer Ayeloja. Okay, Esther is trying to say something. Go ahead, Esther, please.
Okay, I'm Esther William.
Okay.
I work with Cohort Pacific. I'm an admin staff, but I want to change my course of interest in my career path, and that's why I decided to go for this course. I have no basic knowledge in energy, except I know that there is something called solar panels. That's all.
Okay, wonderful.
And I'm looking forward to this training.
What's your background, please?
Well, it's a little bit of everything. I studied agriculture. I worked in IT for about 10 years. I'm now in a contracting company, which does a variety of things from oil and gas to energy to I can't really say this is the specific stuff that I am in right now. So I'm thinking of dedicating some time to my next phase of my life in energy right now.
Okay, what it simply implies that you're going to work harder than every other person. I'm tempted to ask you if you have gone through the material I sent you over a week ago and the videos. It's very important so that you don't feel lost. 90% of us are engineers, and we have our language, right? Mm-hmm. And we have our modus operandi, in quote. So you might get lost if you don't give it more time. I'll be posting some materials outside the 5 specific materials for the 4 Saturdays. That energy basic is for everything we do. So thank you once again, and let me go to Olua Emileke. Can we just have you introduce yourself? After that, we'll have Engineer Leon, and then the class will start. Please, in 1 minute.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Go to the chat. Go to the chat, and you download the material for today. I've uploaded it.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yes. My name is Olua Emileke. I just newly joined an engineering company, Vapa Energy Solutions. So I just want to learn more about energy audit and be able to add my own value to the company. Thank you.
Okay, Engineer Leon. Hello. Engineer Leon, can we hear you?
Maybe he's away from the computer. Maybe we can just continue.
Are you there?
Are you there? Hello, are you hearing me?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes. Yes.
Hello?
We can hear you.
We can hear you. That's Engineer Leon. I'm Engineer Leon. Yeah, I said I'm an electrical engineer by profession. With over 30 to 40 years experience. So I'm a retired electrical engineer. So, but I just need this training to keep in touch.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here in Abuja. Hello?
Yes, we heard you.
Yes.
That's interesting. Is anyone remaining who hasn't introduced himself? Please, you can have the mic, please. If anyone hasn't introduced himself or herself, please.
Engineer, if we only have Engineer Igwe, maybe it's not, maybe it's just, I don't know. Okay, when he comes introducing himself. Okay, gentlemen, thank you for those introduction. Now, just thinking of how we can proceed. The materials have been sent to us. So I don't know if I should also send our WhatsApp group, but has anyone downloaded it? Do we have access to the materials for today's class? Webinar 1.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello, yeah, good morning.
Yeah, course
Hello,
one.
good morning.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, now I try using hands-free. I try using headphone, but I think I'm audible enough, right?
Yes, you are.
Good, wonderful. So now we're going to start. So before we start, I just said go to the chat box. I don't know our level of familiarity with the Zoom platform, but if peradventure you're not familiar, just know that we have under your taskbar, Zoom taskbar, you will see reaction, you will see whiteboard, and you will see chat. So once in a while, you have to go to the chat and ask some questions. You might not be able to stop the presenter, except when you ask for questions. So if you have any question, you put it down in writing. Everything is being recorded. And it will be posted on our platform, it will be uploaded on YouTube and everything. This is cohort 2. So it means we're not just starting, we've done this before. So once in a while, visit the chat room and ask questions and download materials and do a lot of stuff. And then use the reaction to raise your hands, express your confusion, or just, call the attention of the presenter. It's going to be like a team thing. Like Binjachima said, look, some of us here are more experienced than me, yes, but we're here to co-learn, right? This is engineering. No one person knows it all. The good engineer is that engineer that knows how to work in a team, right? So this morning I'm going to be the team lead, but that does not make me the most experienced person or the most versatile person. But at least one thing I know I have is that I'm among the 50 first people in Nigeria that acquired certified energy auditor certificate. It's just like PMP or like CCP. And Jilachima also has it. So that is a good one, a good platform to start with. But then that's not the end of the road, right? I've edited a couple of buildings. Yes, me and Jinachima work as a team. So we have a perspective. We have something to share with you, which will be like a learning curve for some of us, especially someone like Esther that is coming on board. I must tell you that it's an emerging field, it's an emerging area, and it's going to take center stage in a few years from now. Believe me, there are many areas and sectors that Nigeria is not ready for. But I'm telling you, over the years, I've seen Nigeria try to pick up in those areas. And energy is one of those areas. If you remember what just happened in the last 2 weeks, the Electricity Act that was a kind of how will I put it? That have been decentralized, right? Now every state is free to generate, transmit, and distribute power, right? And renewable energy is something that you can't run away from it, right? Nigeria, no matter how backward we want to be, it will catch up with us. Then energy auditing and energy efficiency is the backbone of everything. Because without you doing energy auditing, then you won't know how to deploy your renewable energy. You won't know how to go about what capacity, what technology, and how to effectively deploy energy efficiency options. Okay, so having said that, let me share my screen immediately so that I will keep the ball rolling. Okay, so this is what my screen looks like. So this is the 4 areas or 4 courses we'll be looking at in the next 4 weeks. Like I said, we have a lot of materials to share with you. But one thing I've come to do is that there's no point loading people with tons of materials. Rather, take it bit by bit and then allow those people to take it slowly with them. So I'm just trying to zoom my screen. Yeah, I think it's here, full mode. Good. All right. So here we go. So module 1, we'll be talking about the course name is energy auditing and energy efficiency. And initially, there are 3 of them. Let me emphasize this before we start. There are 3 key areas for you to become an energy expert. You need to know a little bit about energy auditing and energy efficiency. You need to know about renewable energy and solar PV design. Then you need to know about cost, appraisal, and economic analysis. So when we started this course, there are 3 of them. We expect people to go through the 3 of them. But after a while, we scale it down to 2. And that is energy auditing and renewable energy. The third option, which was cost and economic analysis, we now embedded it in the 2. So for you to become an expert and call yourself an energy expert, you must take a bite in energy auditing, energy efficiency as one course, and then the second one you take a course on renewable energy and specifically solar PV design. So 2 of them come together because there are many renewable energy sources, but solar is the one that is working for us by virtue of our peak sun hour here in Nigeria, which is about 6 hours and thereabout, 5 to 6 hours. One of the highest in the world, I would say, and being something that is easy to deploy and something that is working so far. Wind have not been working, thermal has not been working, biomass is a no-go area, and the other sources have not been explored. So we're talking about energy efficiency, energy editing. Then Chima will tell us more about energy efficiency by next week. While you study and we delve into just to make sure that you get it done, energy and electricity basics. And then finally, I'll come around and take you on cost and economic analysis. So today is energy auditing. And next week we'll do energy efficiency, while you yourself will do the energy and electricity basics. And on the background, Chima will still take us on it, but it is good that you first of all have a feel of it, because the slide is about 150 pages or thereabout, right? 150 slides, and it's so huge. It's like taking you back to university days when you did something like Engine 202, right? Ketchup's law and electricity laws, Ohm's law, voltage laws, power laws, and all those things, you know. Okay, so any questions so far before I go into the real thing? Is there anything you need to understand? Are you not hearing me well? Am I too fast?
You, not for now.
Okay, I seem to be too fast, but then bear with me. I needed to rush this in 2 hours, right? And allow us to go and do other things. So can we all meet ourselves? Let's move now. Okay, so we'll be talking about introduction to energy auditing. For me, this is a new area for me and for a lot of us. And we needed to define, put some things in perspective. So what was our aim? What was our goal? Well, we all have our different objectives of signing up, but our overall objective is to transfer know-how on how to perform energy auditing in industry and how to assess and implement energy efficiency measures. The problem that is killing our solar and renewable energy industry is lack of knowledge on how to assess load, how to assess what we have, what we need, and where we have to be. Is a problem. Somebody says, I want to deploy solar. How do you assess your load? How do you know what you need? What capacity do you need? How many kVA do you need? How do you size your inverter? How do you How do you come up with your load basically and say, this is my requirement? I need 2 kilowatts per day. I need 3 kilowatts per day. I need 5 kilowatts per day. It's a challenge, not just for residential houses, but for industry application. And that is why you see when these things are deployed, they fail over time. I've seen ministries and agencies, and within 2 years, within a year, within 6 months, everything packs up. And then you look at the load they are using, look at the kind of AC they are using, and you begin to wonder, this is not how it ought to be. So that's one of our aim. So at the end of the aim, we expect it to be an energy auditor, be able to look, what we'll do a walkthrough audit, walk into somebody's house and tell him, look, this is your load, this is the lighting, this is the cooling requirements, this is the heating requirements, right? This is everything. Now, what is energy audit? Sometimes when you want to define something, you look at the purpose. We say that the purpose of energy audit is to identify energy conservation and cost-saving opportunities among consuming systems and site practices. One of the laws of energy or laws of physics is on energy conservation. It says that energy cannot be created nor be destroyed, but can be moved from one form to the other. So it means that the energy you have in your house, you can't destroy them, or your energy requirements, you can't destroy it, but you can convert it. You can shed it, or call load shedding. You can move it from one form to the other, and then you can conserve it. You conserve it for future use. You can reduce the cost. You can move from 30 to 20, and then you save money. Then that 20 will go to somebody in the village or your neighbor to use. And then you get money, you get back money from it. A systematic procedure with the purpose of obtaining adequate knowledge of the existing energy consumption profile of a building or group of buildings, an industrial or commercial operation or installation or a private building or public service. Identifying and quantifying cost-effective energy saving opportunities, and then reporting the findings. That is what energy auditing means. So there are two key words here. Number one is identify. How do you identify? Like in Europe, in developed countries in Europe, for instance, their energy cost comes in heating during winter. During winter, that's just their problem. How do you beat down your energy? Because you need to heat everything. You need to heat the buses, the trains, your houses, your offices. And heating is energy intensive. So identifying is a key thing for defining energy auditing. How do you identify? It's like a doctor, you need to diagnose. Then the second thing is to quantify. It's one thing to identify something, is another thing to quantify it. After quantifying it, what do? You cost it. Because if you don't bring out the numbers, forget it. We engineers, investment experts, development experts, they're interested in the numbers. Come and talk all your stories, you're your own. Until you start telling me how my energy consumption will come down from 30,000 naira per month to 20,000 naira, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm interested in telling me how to save money. I just want to save money. I need the numbers. Give me the numbers. Tell me that if I invest 1 million naira, I will save 200,000 per annum. That is the story that's good in my ear. If you don't tell me that, you're wasting. Just find some other person. Then these three things, if you don't put it in a report, if you don't put it in a way that is internationally acceptable, that can pass through IFC, World Bank, AFDB, procurement or whatever, through the governor's office, we don't bring it in a way that the layman will understand it and get his buy-in, then you wasted your time. Then you wasted your time. So you must not just identify, quantify, cost, all the energy saving opportunities, but you must report your findings, and not just reporting your findings, but in a way that will be impressed, in a way that will pass through management scrutiny. You must report it in a way that the money will come out. The management said, can we start? So these are some of the standards. I won't go through all this. I can send you the materials. I don't read slides. Anyway, I know that you read and understand. I'm going to jump it because this slide is huge. So the purpose of all the standards here, the EN 16272 is for building, general requirement, industrial processes, transport. All these are huge materials to read and update your knowledge, but not now. So the next one is that we will look at the energy audit process based on two different standards, the ISO standard and the European norm. If you look at what I have on my left and what I have on my right, they are the same thing. Don't get confused. I just want to compare the two and show and use it to emphasize that irrespective of the standard, they are just the same thing. They are the same thing. So number one, how do you conduct an energy audit? The first thing you do is to make preliminary contacts. On the EM standards, it calls it preliminary standards, while on the ISO standard, it calls it energy audit planning. So before you engage in energy audit for a client, the first thing is to make your contacts. Either they approach or you approach them and tell them what you are and what you do and why they need to do the energy auditing. So basically, the first person you meet could be the facility manager, or sometimes during a dinner or a gala night, you meet the CEO of a company and he's complaining to you about how their energy bills is skyrocketing. And then you schedule an appointment, you schedule a meeting, and then that contact could be personal contacts, it could be phone contacts, it could also be like a meeting. All right, you meet them, you meet the key stakeholders in the company or in the agency or the owner of the house, and you have a talk and a deliberation. Then the next thing is that you schedule a startup meeting. So I'm reading the one on my left now, which is based on energy process, based on EN 16247. So you do a startup meeting. In that startup meeting, you discuss how you want to engage in the meeting. Now, for the other energy, based on ISO 50002, it calls it opening meeting. So you have an opening meeting with the clients. In that opening meeting, you come with your team, while they also come with their own team. Basically, their own team could be top management staff, maybe the plant manager, the accountant, or the person paying money. Sometimes you need their consent to approve money. So during this meeting, you discuss how you plan to go about the energy auditing process. During this meeting, they will brief you. They will pour out their mind, their expectation. They will tell you what they'll be consuming, and also who supplies power to them. Sometimes they might show you their records, introduce you to all the people who are on the chain of command, both for receiving diesel, gas, the metering system, even the security ought to be the gate man in both, right? Need to be here because sometimes you need everybody to be on board, especially those who will know one or two information that you will need. So the number 3 things, which is 5.3 on my left, is you now go for data collection. During the startup meeting, the head of energy or the facility manager would have introduced you to the key people to talk to, who has the meter readings, who has the key to the generator house, who has been keeping the record from the energy supplier, who has the record of all the diesel being bought. So after the startup meeting, maybe the next time you're coming, you schedule a time, you now come for data collection. So in the data collection, you now call all the key people. Based on the kind of industry or building, the data you collect are different. After collecting the data, you can do a small desk study. Then you go for field work. If you go for field work, you get some data. If the data are not adequate, you go back to data collection. So you can move back and forth between field work and data collection until you get all that you need. The next thing is you go to analysis. You start to analyze what you have. You start to fragment them. You start to characterize them into different sectors. Which one is for lighting? Which one is for heating? Which one is for cooling? Which one is for refrigeration? Which one is for whatever? So these are just the key 4 areas. Boiler, if it's industry, we talked about the boiler, we talked about the compressed gas, we talked about the chillers. So it depends on what the industry. So it's an inexhaustive list. But the thing is that you need to sit down after you have done your field work, you've done your measurements, you've measured what you need to measure, you come back, you now analyze. When you analyze, you can go back and collect more data, you can go back and do more measurements until you are satisfied. Then you sit down and then do a proper reporting based on standard. I will give you some templates and you can download a lot of templates online. So many of them. Remember, as engineers, we're not trying to invent the wheel, right? We're trying to upscale and remodel the wheel. So there are many energy auditing online you can download and get them. Then after you have done your report, and of course, your colleague must have seen your report and made 1 or 2 inputs, you now do a final meeting. So one thing I want to point out here, which bears different, is that you are starting. This is very important. You are starting with meeting, you are ending with meeting. So the start up meeting is to inform them that you are coming to audit, that you need their cooperation, you need all hands to be on deck, and you need them to not sabotage you. While the final meeting is to report back to management. So sometimes final meetings could involve more people than startup meeting. Final meeting, if possible, the CEO of the company might have to be there. Those that are going to pay you might have to be there. Because if the man is not there, maybe you have done a free work, a free job. Then those who are going to implement will have to be there also. Because if they are not there, then you have a big problem. The problem is that they will not follow your directive, they will not follow your energy policy or energy plan that you're going to develop for the company. So if you look at these things we have enumerated, you'll find out that it's just the same thing with what you have on the rights. So the right simply means that during your startup opening meetings, you can combine it with data collection. Then ISO says you need to do measurement plan. So part of your field work will involve measurement plan and then conducting site visits. So you see that where there's a changes, it's just on the methodology of collecting data. While ISO is talking about measurement, which is very good, especially for level 2 audit. I'm coming to that. The other standards just call it field work. So field work and data collection and site visits are just embedded. So final meeting, he called this closing meeting. Then reports, it's added some grammar to it and called it energy audit report. So what are your goals as an energy audit? He said, is to clearly identify types and costs of energy use and understand how energy is being used and possibly wasted. If you don't understand how something is being used, you don't understand how it's being wasted. Because, for instance, in some industries, the workers will use compressed air to clean their body after badging. They will open it and just be cleaning as in using compressed air, which is energy intensive. And then there are some people on their AC and go home. Okay, or I mean, I can't really, is inexhaustive. I don't know. It depends on what you see. So, as the energy auditor, you need to understand first. And let me say this before we even go into it. Don't ever think you know it all. In fact, if there's anything you need to learn from this training, is that as an energy auditor, you will be as humble as anybody until you get your job done. You know, people have their problems. Don't allow you to stand on your way. You'll be surprised that somebody in the industry does not want you to carry that audit. So we'll still come to that. Okay, so the next thing is you now identify and analyze. Your emphasis should be on cost reduction, not cost addition, no. Whether short-term or long-term. Then improve operational techniques. Sometimes it's not about buying a new AC. It's about knowing when to on the AC, knowing the temperature range to put the AC. So you need to know about new operational technique for new equipment, new processes, and new technology. Then the big one, perform an economic analysis on those alternatives. It is not always one recommendation, broad recommendation, and then you give options so that the client will choose. Then finally, you develop an action plan with responsibilities, with timelines, and budget for implementation. These things can be embedded in what we call energy policy. You can develop an energy policy for the slogan, a cliche, or something. Me, I enjoy the one that you tell them that any energy saved, management will give them some bonuses. So everybody will know that if we save energy and we're able to quantify it, at the end of the year, there will be hampers. So there are two broad type of, no, not types, but ways to conduct energy. You as an energy auditor, you can come in two ways. You can come internally, externally. So internally is where you're working for your organization, and after this training, you decide to show them what you have learned by conducting an energy audit for them. You're an internal person. External one is when I contract somebody like me or Engineer Chima, to come to your company and carry out an audit. So two of them have their pros and their cons, right? Advantage and disadvantage. So let's just take a look at them. I'll be very fast. One of the advantages of being an internal energy auditor is that you're already familiar with the company. You're familiar with the production processes, you're familiar with the personnel, and you're familiar with a lot of stuff. So it's easy for you to know where the problem is. It's easy for you to know where to identify the thing and get it done. Then the other one is that you will know about the energy availability. You know what your company has, what they don't have. So you don't have a problem with that. Then it is usually cost effective. Internal energy auditing is usually cost effective. Then the other one is, let me get my, the other one is basically on, here's my slide. Because you work for the same company, so you might not be able to tell them to pay you huge amount of money. So that makes it cost effective. But they have disadvantage. The first disadvantage, so if you are an internal person and you come to your colleague, said you're doing any of this, the first thing they will do is they will think it's business as usual. They won't give you attention. They might not listen to you. Number two is that you are less likely to ask critical questions. You'll be afraid, you can't be asking your boss some question like how much do you spend on energy per month? It's like you're probing him. So that might be problematic. Then it does not have quality. Considering these disadvantages, you don't expect quality from it. But if you engage an external person to do the audits, quality is usually high because the person will come as a pro. Then the person will ask critical questions because nobody's going to rebuff him. Nobody's going to suspect him of trying to probe the company. Then questions and opinions are based on outside view. You ask questions without boundaries. What are the disadvantages? Of course, it's going to be very expensive. Energy auditors earn a lot of money, especially in places like US and Canada. Of course, not in Nigeria yet because we're not just there yet, but we're coming up. Then it requires time to understand. If you're coming to a production facility that you're not familiar with, you need some time to go through and understand the production processes before you can even know where to start. You have to tour the company. You have to speak to a lot of people for you to know what is happening. Then it always requires the support of the facility manager, who most times will see you as an enemy. You ask me how? Well, some of them might be involved in some things that they don't want somebody to know. So you coming to do energy auditing is like you're coming to probe them. You're coming to know whether 100 liters of diesel are being supplied every day, or 8 is being supplied and somebody is taking care of 20 and all those stuff.
Hello, Engineer Uche, you can't hear anything. No.
Sorry, I muted myself. And I was talking.
Okay, sorry. You might just need to go back for some feedback.
So let me go back again. Please, always tell me, please. We have level 1 audits. We have level 2 audits, and we have level 3 audits. Level 1 audits is also known as a walkthrough audit. Please get used to that word because That is one of the audits that many of us will be doing after today. Now, one audit is very cheap to conduct. That is what many people are doing now. They will have the detailed energy audits. Then if you add something to the detailed energy audits, you have the investment grade. The difference between level 1 and level 3, or the difference between detailed energy audit and investment grade audit, is what we call environmental and social impact. If you add environmental impact assessments and you add environmental social assessment to your level 2 audit, it automatically becomes level 3 audits. And that level 3 audit is what we call investment grade audit. You know, you cannot go to the World Bank and do something and it does not pass through some rigor or through some processes. And one of those processes is likely going to be EIA, ESM, ESA, and the rest of them. So I want you to take note of that. Then the difference between level 1 and level 2 is that level 2 always involves measurements and involves costs and economic analysis, cost investment appraisal. We'll come to that in our last week. Walkthrough audits is very simple. Walkthrough formalization, you do desktop analysis, you generate your energy intensity areas, you make your recommendation. Those recommendations are always coming in form of low cost, no cost. If I come to your house now and I tell you to go and change all your bulbs from incandescent bulbs to energy savers, that is a low cost. I can see it as a low cost thing. But when I ask you to go and replace all your ACs, replace all your fridge, then you know it's a high cost recommendation. But before I do that, I need to prove that those energies, those ACs are not energy savers. So it means I need to take some measurement. It means I need to go a little bit far, other than just looking at these bulbs and tell you that these bulbs are not LEDs. Change it. I can look at your TV screen and I'll see that it's a plasma TV or the old one that we used to hit our hands before they on. I ask you to change it into super LED, the one Samsung and Co. COF TVs of today. Then I can also do a no-cost recommendation on a low cost on a walkthrough audit. I can come now and I ask you that once it's 6 o'clock, you should off all your external lights. I can ask you that every night you should off your refrigerator because temperature is low, that it will not defreeze. So those ones are no cost. It didn't cost you anything. So it's just a recommendation. So walkthrough audit is level 1. I come to your house, I come to your industry, I ask you to change this bulb, change these ACs, stop using these, stop leaving your AC on when you are leaving the office. Then put your external lights on sensors. Once it's daybreak, they will off automatically. Then your corridors, your warehouses, put sensors. When nobody's there, the lights should off. Just like some hotels in Lagos are beginning to do, which is cool. So these are walkthrough audits. So when I finish, I might just give you a one-page report or even no report. That's a walkthrough. I've done an audit, and it's cool. But when you come to detailed energy audit report, I have to do data logging. I have to come with my ammeters and measure. I have to come with my voltmeters. I have to come with my sensors. I have to do some review. I will review literature. I'll come up with your logbook. I'll come up with your load diagrams, load arrangement. I'll know how your load is being used. I'll identify inefficiency of uses. I will compute your energy consumption index, split it into Excel and do all those my gymnastics, okay? Perform some statistical analysis on them. I will generate my load. I would identify my energy, the key performance indicators. Okay, I'll do a lot of very detailed analysis. Then when I'm making my recommendation, I'll be doing 3 recommendations. I'll be recommending no cost, recommending medium cost, and I'll be recommending high cost. So level 2 audit is a higher level of details. Then level 3 audit is just like level 2, but it's just that I'll do some ESM, then I'll do cost analysis. Yes, in level 2, I'll also do a little bit of cost analysis, but I'll just summarize it. But in level 3, I'll do my net present value, I'll do my future value, I'll identify my internal rate of return, I'll do so much because it's going to be a bankable audit. Because when they'll be discussing it, I will not be there. Top high level World Bank, IFC, bank managers will be discussing it. And these people are people who knows about cost investment appraisal, right? And they will be able to bring out the money and fund it. Of course, both of them have written reports and presentations. Otherwise, after doing an audit, you do a management presentation. So let's take a look at walkthrough audit. A relatively quick exercise to establish energy consumption in the organization. That's what walkthrough audit is. Very quick one. Then estimate the scope of savings. If you have 30 energy bulbs that are consuming 100 watts, right? And let me share my whiteboard. Go to whiteboard. Where is it? Share. Sorry. Okay. I just want to do one small mathematics to emphasize something. I can't find my share. Okay, well. So let's assume I just come to your house now. Okay, and there are about 30 bulbs you are using, and each of them is 100 watts. For whatever reason, nobody's using this is again. And then I recommend 10 watts bulbs. These ones are incandescent bulb. Please don't mind my English. So I recommend 10 watts. No, same 30 bulbs, of course. And each of them is 10 watts. Right? This is very simple. The savings is 100 minus 80. Right? Watts. Therefore, the energy saving in 1 hour will not be, sorry, minus 10, which would be 90. So 90 watts, and there are 30 of them. So that will be 2700. If I convert it to kilowatts, it becomes 2.7 kilowatts. And energy is measured in kilowatt hour. Jirachima will teach us all these things. So it means in 1 hour, I am saving 2.7. In 1 hour, I'm saving 2.7 kilowatt hour. And we know that energy, before they wanted to increase it, is 16 naira. So if I multiply 60 by 2.7, I can easily see how much I'm saving. This calculation. Let's just say this is 3. Let's approximate it to 3. It's easy for me to calculate. So 3 means 180. So if it means every 1 hour, I'm saving 180 naira. If I convince you to do that, so if you now do it in a month, that'll be 180 times 30 or whatever. So I'm saving 454. So every month I'm saving 5,400 naira. So I didn't give you a report, I didn't give you anything, I just do this. I didn't even give you these calculations All I just say, engineer, if you change this 100-watt bulb, tell them to 10 watts, man, in a month you'll be saving 5,000 naira. It means, engineer, if you are spending 20,000 before, you'll not be spending 10,000. So just, but in a detailed audit or investment grade audit, I will even perform spot analysis on this. I will provide you 5-watt bulb that can do the same thing, maybe from Schneider, okay, and provide you 10-watt bulb from China. I'll just do a lot of stuff, to provide you with those alternatives. And at the end of the day, you make your decision. So let's go back. I need to be. We've already spent like close to 1 hour now. And so next is that I'll identify the most likely and easiest area of attention. That's for walkthrough audit. I'll tell you, okay, forget about lighting. Your fridge are old. Work on them. Then identify the immediate things you need to do, just like what I did now. Then I'll set a reference point, maybe for your ACs or some things. So these things are so easy. That is what walkthrough audit is. That's what I want to emphasize, right? Then this is the objective of walkthrough audit. Conduct a site visit, understand the energy consumption, identify cost areas, tell the person in words where to identify, where to lay emphasis on. Then activities. What activity are you going to involve in? You do some energy balancing. You do some energy analysis from baseline. I've done that before. We're using 100 watts. Now we're using 10. So we're getting 80. Then you establish some energy performance indicators, NPIs. You compare them. You make recommendation on how to improve the organizational management practices. What will be your outputs? You list of energy improvements, saving opportunities, and then sometimes you just tell them the payback period. Roughness assessments of opportunity and payback. All this payback, all these things, we'll do it in when we are doing cost. Then you price, okay, and do some cost benefit analysis. And then you do a small report, maybe 1-page report with an executive summary. Now, some of the first audit I did for a hotel in Abuja is a walkthrough audit. And of course, they paid. So in as much as I'm trying to, de-emphasize on the importance of walkthrough audit, at the same time, it is a good way to start because it does not cost a lot of money. It will give the organization an idea of what they need to do. Normally, what organizations do is that after they walk through audit, they go into the other types of audits. You understand me? They start with the walk through audit, and then they go into the other types of audits. So that is the walk through audit. The second one type of audit is the detailed energy audit. This one is more comprehensive. You will evaluate all the major energy savings. You offer a more accurate estimate of energy savings, not just what I've done, what you do in walkthrough. You consider the interactive effect of all projects, account for energy use of all major equipment, including detailed energy cost saving calculations and project costs. So just know that in detailed audits, you have to do a lot of calculations. You do an energy balance, and you calculate energy use. You take inventory. Then you have to compare bills. In a detailed energy audit, you have to tell me what I consume in summer months and what I consume in winter months. If it's a hotel, you need to know their weekend when they have higher occupancy rates and 3 weekdays when they have low occupancy rates. You must find a correlation between those two. You must prove beyond reasonable doubt that you know what you're doing and that the project is worth investing on. So, what are the methodologies? In the methodologies, you have to do a lot. You have to conduct detailed site visits with focus. Okay, so now, gentlemen, before we go further, I would like to give us few minutes break, just like 5 minutes. That's one of the requirements in trainings like this. After 1 hour, you allow people to stretch their legs. You allow people to adjust, drink water, or do 1 or 2. So we're going to come back by 12 minutes. We're going to come back by quarter after 11. So that was like 7 minutes. Please, I'm sorry about that. And during that period, there are 1 or 2 people who have joined us. Please, if you know you've not paid big payment for this training, it's good that you do that. Then if you've not downloaded the materials, I will find time now and put the material on our WhatsApp group also. So please, gentlemen, let's observe a 5 minutes break. So 5 minutes from now, I would have said 10 minutes, but let's meet by 15 minutes after 11, which is like 7-8 minutes break. Are we okay with that? Any response? Okay. If there's no response,
fine. It's fine.
Yeah, fine. Okay. So just stretch your leg, get your earpiece, do 1 or 2 and ask me questions, and we'll meet again in 7 minutes time, 5-7 minutes time. Thank you. Okay. I think we are back. So we are starting again. Okay, in 1 minute. In 1 minute. Okay, so the DEA, the detailed energy audit, these are the processes involved. You conduct your site visits, you do a detailed study of the subsystems. If it's a production factory, you do a detail of individual production hall, okay? And you do a lot of activities and do load assessments. Under activities, you do a lot of assessments. You do mass balance, load balance, you do energy data analysis from baseline review, you establish your appropriate energy performance indicators at plant areas, and you compare, you benchmark, right? And you come up with what is ideal and what is best. Then, all energy saving opportunity to be quantified, okay, and specified to the extent necessary for organization to be able to implement. You do a detailed economic assessment of costs and benefit of each measure proposed. You do a summary table of measures. You specify types of measurements. You specify types of energy saving costs and many things. And then later you do a detailed report. Now, I don't want to go through all this. I will and indulge us that the online training is for 2 hours in every Saturday. The rest of the week, I expect us to go through these things, right? Maybe I'll remind us on the platform. In 2 hours, we're engaging ourselves. It's more of for us to interact, share experiences, and then ask questions. The bulk of the work is on the participants. And that is why we have taken time to prepare these slides. So maybe coming here to read these slides might not even make sense. So I will move at the speed, or I will move very fast, okay? And just highlight those key areas. So there are principles that guide energy auditing. As an energy auditors, there are 3 key things you must imbibe. You must be competent, and that is why you are here. You must know what to do. You must be the most knowledgeable person in the room, but don't show it. You must be the okay, let me put it this way. You must be in charge, but you don't need to show it, right? You need to leverage on what other people know, okay? And learn from them, and learn very fast, but you must be in charge. So you must be competent. You must not be found wanting. You must not be found being incompetent. That's not the word. And that means you must subject yourself to reading, studying, and learning. Then number 2, confidentiality. You must learn to confide to yourself. There are some things you find out. You find out that the gateman has been stealing 20 drums of diesel every day. You don't need to go and shout it, because if you shout it, it might have a far-reaching implication. There are some things you will say, it will lead to sacking of people. And when they sack those people, they might betray your life, in quotes, or it might distort, it might make others to go into their shells. So you must learn to confide. You must learn a confidentiality principle. In fact, you must sign a confidentiality agreement with the management. Sometimes management might ask you, because sometimes you might not go and tell Nigerian breweries what you did with Sabamila is wrong, right? You might not tell one company that I've audited these people and this is what they did. Please, can you put, because sometimes competition is in terms of energy consumption, because energy cost has a bearing on the cost of finished product. I remember some time ago, most industries who are in Aba and somewhere in the east, they moved their production plan to Agbara. So when we now went for one energy audit in a floor mill, I discovered there is a gas pipeline in the whole of that industrial area. And I was telling myself, I said, why wouldn't people move the industry down there? Because with gas, you can generate your own power. With your power, the cost of production goes low. And with the cost of production going low, then you can sell cheaper. And with you selling cheaper, you own the market. So an industry that takes 20% of their cost of a product to produce as a cost of energy, and the one that takes 40% of their selling cost as cost of energy, they won't say the same thing. I mean, if you are selling the same thing, the person with a higher energy cost of production will go out of the market. Number three one is that you must be objective. No matter whose horse is being God, you must be objective in your reporting. You must not report things because you have a client who sells solar panels. Therefore, you're asking them to deploy solar panels because you want to be the one to supply the solar panels and all those things. You must be objective that you must not allow someone to influence you, telling you what to write and how to what to put in, right? So you must be objective as an energy auditor. So the following principle applies to an energy audit. Consistency with the agreed scope, boundaries, and audit objectives. Measurement and observation is appropriate to energy use and consumption. You don't just go and measure because you want to show off. No, you must measure what is relevant. I don't need to start measuring relative humidity in an industrial production facility, except when it is danger to health, or when I'm doing investment grade audits, where social and environmental impact will be part of my TOR. You must collect energy performance data that are representative. Your energy and analysis must be traceable, and then so on and so forth. So, just like what we said, the first thing you do is to define the scope of the work you want to do. Then you do the measurements, right? Then you do your field work. Then you do your analysis. Then you do your reporting. In the auditing steps, these are the steps you need to take for the planning steps. Objective, criteria, scope of work. You set boundaries of units, installation and units, and buildings that will be examined, like in the auditing step, the planning steps, which is the first meeting, right? You define the duties of each members of the audit team, both from the client side and from your own team, right? You assign them roles. This person who will be taking energy readings, this person will be in charge of compressors, take me the readings of the compressors in the next 7 days. This person, tell me when the AC comes on and when it goes off every day. This person, you're in charge of on the light and offing the light. This person, you're in charge of reading this meter. This person, you must tell me how many drums of diesel they are bringing. This person, you must tell me when they bring light and when they, and so on and so forth. So these are what you do for the auditing process. So what are the things you do for when you get to data collection? In data collection, you collect data from the raw materials, from the products, right? And your sources could be production statistics, raw material purchase, even the effluent analysis. Assuming I'm doing analysis of a wastewater treatment plant, I will go and take the effluent quality and then know the energy consumption. Then if energy consumption changes, I should expect it to reflect in their effluent quality too. Because if the treatment processes from the primary to the secondary unit processes are all well done, then it means that the effluent quality must be low in BOD, biological oxygen demand, right? If it is high in COD, chemical oxygen demand, or biological oxygen demand, and we know that there's a problem in the plants, or more energies have been used, or the wastewater have stayed in the production, in the secondary sedimentation tank for too long, and the stirrers have been moving for too long. That's why I'm having a higher or a low BOD in my effluent. So I'm just giving an idea. close to your fuel and into water, you will understand. I'm a water person. So you could also do your data collection by collecting the process log sheets and many more. Then the next thing is the energy consumption. Can also come from utility bill, consumption reports. They can also collect data from energy meters, and so on and so forth. Then you will also collect material from suppliers, waters, people bringing diesels, and many more. You can also install submitters to know specifically what each unit or each building is consuming. I know that person that is using 10 ACs in one room, and then find him out. Or that person that has some secret, there are some hidden machines that are consuming energy. Or you try to see those 40 machines that are consuming energy because they are aging. Then you can also take your data from the processes, raw water, hot water, and more. You can also take your data from the equipment. So there are some important actions you need to take at the data collection stage. You must verify your source of data. You must check the time period covered. You must check for variation in raw materials and fuel quality. You must check poor quality fuel will consume more and produce less energy. If diesel is contaminated, it will burn more in a shorter time. It will take more quantity to produce the same energy. That is what it is. In other raw materials too, the same applies. If you have a lot of impurities, or you have things that are not supposed to be in a fuel, when we have bad fuel in Nigeria, you know what the problem was. Outside that problem, if the level of octane they put in the fuel is more than necessary, it will just evaporate, and a whole lot of stuff. So then for the startup meeting, there are things you need to do. One of the things you need to do during your startup meetings in the energy study is that you need to ask the organization to identify somebody you need to liaise with. You must have a team man, a team person in the organization. Now, what we've seen a lot in our energy auditing steps, that sometimes you have people who are not in tune with what you are doing. So after identifying, they will give you an individual that will escort you. As an energy auditor, you have to be careful with your life too. That's why you need to define what to do and what not to do. You don't need to do some funny things. You don't need to risk your life. So you need someone that will guide you and tell you where to go and where not to go. So if you go through this thing, gentlemen, this is for the field work. Okay, we're already moving to the field work. So back to the auditing step. When did I move here? So these are things you need to do. You need to inform the personnel and interested party that you are coming to do auditing. You need to ensure the cooperation of every party member, right? Don't be a lone ranger. Get the buy-in. That's why in your startup meeting, it's possible you organize like a meeting, buy snacks, buy drinks, everybody come. It's a party time. There's a way you present things. I'm an auditor. I've audited for Federal Ministry of Water Resources in 2015. I was part of the team of engineers that audited some of the dams in this country. I audited the ones in Imo State. Ishi Dam and Amozari Dam. So one of the things that the minister did was that he called the director of dams and told him, look, everything these people need, give them. I'm not doing this audit to indict anybody. It's just for me to know where I need to focus and put in government money, and then know where I don't need to put in money. So I need the cooperation of everybody. And the director of dams and the directors in the ministry, they gave us their 100% cooperation. But the same might not be the case for some of us. You might get to a place where one or two persons, one or two cabals will decide to frustrate you because this is their area of shopping, in quotes. So once you come in, they say auditor, they say, oh, Tom, let's see what you will audit. And they will start to frustrate your work, right? So you need to find a way and make sure that you get the pie in the favor. I don't know how you're going to do it, right? But find a way and do it. Depends, because it's situation specific, depending on what you meet. But one thing I know is that an any auditor, you must learn the character, the act of carrying people along. Last 2 weeks, this week I was in Calabar on the dump site. We are trying to see if we can construct a prototype landfill for the State Ministry of Environment. And it's funny, but that's going to tell you what auditors meet. What some of us don't know is that there's a lot of money in waste, solid waste, recycling, circular economy. There's huge money. And some people who have seen those money have moved ahead of us. That's why if you go to some dump sites, typical Abuja dump sites, see these Babambola people. They have chairman, they have secretary, they have treasurer, they have chief, they have whatever you call it. They are so organized. Why? Because there's money there. When they pack these plastics, they pack these ions, they pack these cans, they crush them, they go and recycle them. And the thing I've had is that the Lebanese and the Arabs have come in. Why I'm saying this is that if you go there, you need to get their buy-in. If not, they'll see you as a threat. So when we went to Calabar to identify where we wanted to do the landfill, I told my colleague, because I was not there, I said, make sure you get the buy-in of everybody. Because if you don't get their buy-in, you dig something today, tomorrow they will cover it. So we make them to understand that, look, we just want to dig a hole, a pit, and pour waste inside. Of course, it's an engineering landfill, so there's going to be pipes, there's going to be membranes, there's going to be filters, there's going to be a lot of stuffs. But to cut it short, we told them we just want to dig and put waste. Because if you don't, they will see you as a competitor and they will look for a way to harm your work. So let's move to the field work. The field work, you start by familiarizing yourself with the sites, the drawings, the plans, and a lot of stuffs. You discuss the equipment with the manufacturers. See, gentlemen, you take pictures,